Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This month, we're talking all about self care and keeping it together. And what I want you to think about is that women who look like they have it all together do not do it alone. So I want you to believe me when I say that. And I want you to sit with that for a second because I think we've all had these moments where we look at someone and we think, she's just disciplined. She's just super consistent. She's just better at this than I am. And this very like compare and despair and just thinking, she's got it figured out. She must be so strong. She must be so wonderful, whatever. But what you're not seeing is all the support that that person has. Okay. The conversations, the accountability, the team that the people holding space for her when things get hard. And if you've been trying to do anything completely on your own, your habits, your weight, your consistency, any of those things, then I want you to really listen because being super successful does not happen in a vacuum. We do not do those things on our own. Isolation does not build greatness. It does not build results. It does not build, I mean, it does build results, not the ones we want, but isolation does not build success. Isolation does not get you where you're trying to go. It just fuels burnout. That's it. That's all it does. So I'm going to tell you a story. There was a time in my life where I was really holding a lot. Just work felt like a lot. My old job, like things weren't going that great. I had some orthopedic issues. I was just having like pain a lot. The kids were this was years ago. The kids were much younger, so they needed a lot more. From the outside, I looked fine though, right? I was functioning. I was getting things done. I was losing weight. I looked healthy, right? But underneath that was this slow building of just complete overwhelm and burnout. And nothing dramatic happened. And there was not one thing I could point to and be like, that was the problem or this was the turning point. It was just a constant build. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not very good at asking for help. I'm even less good about recognizing when I need a break until it's kind of mission critical. My little one's actually like this. He's like mission critical breakdown, and he like everything's great until it's not. And I think he must get that from me a little bit. So I wasn't really good at recognizing the signs that I was just totally burning out. I just thought like, oh, it just feels like a lot right now. It's just a busy season, right? I'll get there. I'll catch up. But I wasn't catching up. It was just getting worse, and I was just carrying more. And then I think some things happened at work, and like people needed a lot more from me, or I thought they did. That I thought people at work needed a lot more from me, so I was trying to take on their stuff too. So it wasn't one big moment. It was just all of these things, like me taking on other people's stuff, um, there already being a lot of stuff, just the age kids were, me not asking for help, all of these things. And all of a sudden, he called me and he was like, "Hey, you're going to go stay with your friends on the South Shore tonight." I was like, "Excuse me?" He was like, "You need a break. I've already called them. You're going and you guys are going to like go have a little night off, go have a little retreat on the South Shore." And I was so shocked that he was so good at recognizing it before I did. And honestly, he planned it like 2 days. I think it was pretty close because I think that day I was like really getting frazzled, right? I could feel like it was a lot, but he had already planned it. It was already done. All I had to do, I don't even think I had to drive myself. I think my friend from this side of the lake like drove me over there. And it sort of became the start of this where, every couple of months we will go have like a sleepover girls night over on the South Shore where we can just get this support and let things go. Right. And so I tell you this story because it's not just about like, oh, isn't my husband great? He's flawed like every other human, but he was better at recognizing my burnout than I was. And I think it's easier for us to see it in other people, right? Like I can see it in my clients before they see it in themselves. He can see it in me before I see it in myself. I can see it in him. We just see it in other people where they just start to be a little bit more raw, right? Maybe, and I think it's their emotional resilience starts to just falter a little bit, right? It's one of these first subtle signs that things are a little too much. And sometimes they're temporary, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes it is just us taking on more than we need to take on. But what I wanted you to hear from that story is sometimes the people around you see what you need before you do. And so it's important to know who those people are and realize it's not that you're not aware, okay? But it's you're on the inside. If you go back to like a few episodes ago where we talked about like, it's like you're on the inside of the jar and you can't read the label. It's the same. Like when you're in it, especially if you are getting close to overwhelm and burnout, like there's not a lot of time to try and do these outward looks at what's going on because you're just trying to get it done. Like there's just not a lot of free time to be introspective and see like where you are on your burnout meter. So very often the people around you will see what you need before you do. So it's important to know who those people are and to trust them and to maybe come up with like a plan, right? Before it gets too late. High functioning women normalize overload all the time, right? Because you're extremely capable and you take on a lot and you handle more and you juggle more. And if you look at you from 5 years ago, you're like, oh, that's so cute. She thought she was overwhelmed then. I do so much more now, right? We just like keep taking on more and more and more. And then that more becomes our normal. And even when it's too much or we're tired, or even when our habits start to slip, right? We usually don't think, oh, I can't sustain this, right? We just think, oh, I need to get it all. I need to organize more. I need to get it all together more. We really need to do is adjust the load. And sometimes like we need a hard reset for that. And so sometimes we need like this retreat, okay, where you can just stop everything for a minute, that little exit plan. So, but more importantly, someone to recognize it's happening if you can't recognize it yourself. So control does not equal strength. Okay. So you can be super strong. You don't need to be in control of everything. Okay. So if you are one of these people, and gosh, there's still stuff I do this with. I try, this is like the one thing I try so hard to fix about myself is when I have the thought, I'm the only one that can do this. Right. I think the partner to that thought is one that my husband does all the time is it'll just be easier if I do it myself. It'll only take me a second. I might as well just do it myself. But underneath that is just control. It's just a control problem. And we know we have it. Like you were not telling us anything new, right? But control feels safe and predictable. But when we are controlling everything, we're isolating ourselves and that feels really heavy. And so what looks like strength is really just like this unsupported control that is not really helpful. And it really dysregulates our nervous system a lot. Okay. So a regulated nervous system is really, really important, right? It helps us show up as our best self as the bare minimum. Okay. But it also helps us like with long-term planning and our long-term goals and all of those things, right? And being in a place where we're like constantly stressed is really unhealthy from a physiologic standpoint for a number of reasons, right? So community, having this like team of support, your pit crew helps regulate your nervous system. So even if you start taking on more and you don't recognize it, like you've got your people that recognize it and they can help you like stop it, right? They can be the bad guys and say you're not allowed to do that anymore, or whatever you need them to be. But that community not only can help sort of identify when you're over the edge, but they can just help you be more regulated in general by like they see you and they support you and they know you. And so having that can shift your nervous system in a really positive direction as well. So I want you to like a little reframe for you for this week is that if you are feeling like you're doing so much and like no one else can do it right and I need to do it, and you're starting to feel a little frazzled around the edge, it's not that you need more discipline. You need more support. Okay. So if you're like letting your habits drop because you've got too much to do, that's a pretty clear example of like, no, we don't let our habits drop. We get someone else to do some of the stuff. Okay. It's not that you need a better system or more willpower. Like you just need better time management. Like maybe, but more likely, if you're listening to me and in my audience, you need more support. Okay. Because we're trying to build something sustainable. This is the year of not quitting, right? No quit 2026. So if we're not quitting and our setup is not sustainable and we're starting to like ruffle around the edges and we're like at risk of shutting down from overwhelm, we need our people, we need our community to support us and be like, oh, whoa, like it looks like you need a break. And then that's short term, long term, we got to get some stuff off your plate. Okay. So, and some of that might be, right? Maybe you need a creative outlet or something, right? Maybe you need a full night off or a full weekend off or a week off. I don't know. What do you need? You got to be willing, like, you have to have enough bandwidth to take the space to actually ask the question, right? Some of us are like functioning on all, like, we're on all cylinders and we don't even have enough of a break to be like, oh, how close to burnout am I? And that's where I was when my husband had to make the call, right? I just like, my head was down and I was just trying to get her done. But I was doing that for so long, like I couldn't even look up and see that I was like headed to a really bad place. But he could see it. And so he could take action. And then when I did pull my head up, I was like, it was too late. But luckily, there was already a plan in place. So I want you to notice when your default is like going it alone. So anytime your default thought is, I got this, or I'll just handle this, or it'll be easier if I do it, or no one else can do this. Okay. Notice that and then get curious instead of critical, right? Because there are times when I ask you to notice thoughts. I used to do this when my coach would ask me to notice thoughts, and then I would notice them, and then I would feel bad about having those thoughts. This is a no judgment zone, okay? I just want to be curious about those thoughts. We are not going to criticize or judge the fact that we have them. Of course we do. Totally normal, okay? But we're going to get curious about these thoughts that I have to do it. No one else can do it. I have to do it. So instead of like thinking something is wrong, just like, well, where am I unsupported? Like, where would some support help this? Okay? And then let somebody in. Isolation is not good. So find somebody like, hey, we should do a check-in, or like just one conversation that's totally honest is all you need here. That's how it starts. Just like, hey, like, I noticed I'm like, I have a tendency to get overwhelmed and I don't really realize it, but maybe you could help me. Maybe you could help me realize it ahead of time. Okay. And then pay attention to how it feels when you are really supported, because it is important. You need to build that system, whether it's joining something like my membership or whether it's just finding your like group of friends, but I think it needs to be something with some structure if you are functioning at near burnout. If you're like, Stacey, none of this even makes sense to me, I don't know what you're talking about, like, great. But if you are like more times than not, like worried about your time management or feeling like you're never going to get it all done or feeling like you have to do all of it, like, then I'm talking to you and you need to get some sort of support system in place, someone who can recognize the signs without you, and then maybe even have like a plan. Like, oh, when I'm feeling really frazzled, that's my sign that I need to take a break. And these are the plans I have to take a break. I'm going to go spend the night with my friends. I'm going to go spend the night by myself at a hotel. I'm going to make a lunch date with my friends. And if nothing else, if you're like, no, that all sounds too hard, I don't have time to pick my head up and do that, fine. Just make a schedule. Like once a month, I go have lunch with my friends, or once every 6 weeks, I go do this, or once a quarter, I go for a weekend alone with my husband, with my friends, whatever. Right? It doesn't always have to be with your friends, but sometimes, it's fun. But it could just be with your husband. It could just be by yourself. There's no rules. You have to figure out what is going to rejuvenate you and fill your cup. Right? For me, sometimes I just like to get away from life. I love my husband and our days are great. But if I need to not think about all my responsibilities, my family is part of my responsibilities. And so that is easier to do with my girlfriends. By myself, I have a tendency to think about all of my responsibilities. So solo trips are not really my thing because I have a tendency to just think about all the things I need to do. And with my husband, as much as I think about how much I love him, of course, but I'm also thinking about all the things that our family needs and what on our house needs and everything else. With my girlfriends, I don't think about any of that stuff. Right? That's a little trial and error. I had to be really introspective to figure that out. Some people, they need the solo trip. Some people need the trip with their spouse. Some people don't need any of it. They just need one night off or whatever. Or go play something with their friends, or go play a musical instrument, or go do a craft project. The point is that if you can't recognize this on your own, you need to tag the people that can help you. And most of us cannot. So we should have at least one person that we can tag with the responsibility of hey, if I start to act a little frazzled, let me know. And then we need to have a plan of on all levels, what rejuvenates you and fills your cup. This falls under the umbrella of self-care, but it's a little bit more than ride home in silence. This is I need a little bit more. So do I need a night to myself? Do I need a night with my spouse? Do I need a night with my girlfriends? Do I need a weekend? Do I need a week? Do I need to just go once a week for a music lesson? Do I need to go once a week and play mahjong? Do I need to go once a week and play pickleball? Do I need to schedule a tennis lesson? Whatever it is. Actually, my girlfriends and I were going to do a belly dancing class once a week. Amazing, right? It's totally going to be self-care reset. I'm so excited about it. On a scale of 1 to 100, I'm 100. I'm excited. Okay. Find the support that you need. Find the community that you need, whether that's in the membership, which of course you're always welcome to join. Try it out for a month. See if you like it. Whether you tag your friends, they don't need to live with you. We can do Zoom happy hour with our girlfriends that live far away. Okay. Or it's your spouse and we set up a date night, standard date. We have a standing date night with our babysitter. Okay. Just whatever you need. But you do need to take a look at this and figure it out. So there's a plan in place. This is an emergency plan, right? Because when I was in that place where he had to make that call for me, I was not going to recognize it myself until I blew up. Then I'm going to yell at everybody and I'm going to scream and I'm going to feel bad. And I wasn't functioning well. That level of stress, you don't function well. My nervous system was dysregulated. Nothing good was happening. I thought I was getting a lot done though, because I couldn't see it. So we need to find a friend or a person, right? We're not meant to carry everything by ourselves. It is okay to ask for support, but I also want you not only to feel supported, but I want you to have those plans in place for when it does feel like a lot. Ideally, some sort of connection with other people, unless you really are I just am so rejuvenated by being in a room by myself, then do that. Okay. But letting people in does not make you weaker. Isolation is not strength. We need to lean on people. We need to ask them to look out for us. It is okay to do that. And then we need to have a plan in place to rejuvenate for whatever level of rejuvenation that we need. All right. I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear how you guys rejuvenate. I would love you to email me or tag me on social or whatever and let me know what do you do when you're feeling like super overwhelmed, and who's your person? And maybe like, have they done something really cool for you, like schedule you an overnight play date with your adult girlfriends behind your back? I don't know. It was amazing, just so you know. And it is something we do routinely now. And I think it helps all three of us keep it together and be more productive and just healthier for the long term. So love to hear all of it. Make sure you tag me. Until then, I'll talk to you. Bye.